Talk about the American Revolutionary War. The history book says the American Revolutionary War started in 1775. I think it started in 1773 with the Boston Tea Party. That really got the British going. Okay, in 1775, they got a hold of Thomas Jefferson, and he wrote the Declaration of Independence, and 39 founding fathers signed it, including George Washington, John Adams, and I'm going to name a few later on. Okay, in 1776, they picked George Washington, we got him right over here, to create the first army in America called the Continental Army. There was no army back then. His job was to take the men from the 13 colonies, tens of thousands of them, and make an army out of them. He had a very hard time doing that because the men from the 13 colonies, they were drunks, they were bums, they were farmers, they didn't know nothing about being a soldier. They go practice with George Washington for 3 or 4 days, and then they want to go home. He really got fed up with that. So in 1777, he got a hold of Benjamin Franklin. He's on my favorite bill. He's right here in back of me. He was a diplomat. Benjamin Franklin, he's on a $100 bill. George Washington put Benjamin Franklin on a sailboat, which took 6 to 8 weeks to get to France to talk to the French government about sending troops back to help George Washington fight the British. Benjamin Franklin really didn't have a hard time doing that because back then the French hated the British. Okay, so now George Washington had a lot of help, and the French government sent all those troops back to help George Washington create his first army in America. I'm going to show you a few weapons that they used back then. Okay, this is what George Washington's army used, 38 caliber. These are called flintlocks. Every gun I show you now is over 250 years old. Okay, they didn't have any big bore assault rifles with bayonets on them. They used these little 38 caliber flintlocks to shoot rabbits and deer. Okay, this is what the French came back with, 78 caliber flintlock. See that? Look at the size of that slug Vance is holding up. That thing hits you, your head's coming off. Okay, this is the flintlock that the British used to fight the French and George Washington. 68 caliber. All these guns are in excellent working condition. The British also had blunderbuss. This gun's 300 years old. Blunderbuss. It takes an 1.1" steel ball. Look at the size of that bore. And they did the same thing. They just scoop up the rocks, the dirt, the pebbles when they ran out of the ammunition, go as close as they can to the enemy, and shoot it right in his face. Okay, in 1781, the British, they didn't surrender. They just packed up and went back to Great Britain until they came back to America in 1812 and burnt down the White House. But that's another story. That'll be on the next tour. Okay, in 1789, George Washington became our first president. He did 2 tours, that's 8 years. He got out in 1797. John Adams took his place. 2 years after that, George Washington passed away, 1799. He was 67 years old. That's living a long time back then. The average lifespan was 45 years old. And he's the only president that never slept in the White House. When he was president, let's say in 1792, he picked a spot where he wanted to build the White House. And of course, slaves built the White House. Okay, you guys are learning a lot today. Anybody know what the French government did for America in 1885? The Statue of Liberty. It took them 11 years to construct, deliver, and put together the Statue of Liberty. And if it wasn't for the French government to send all those troops back to help George Washington, it would have been a whole different outcome. Got it?